Guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Robi Masaga. Today I want us to dive into a story that is as shocking as it's disturbing. A movement in Scotland that calls itself the Kingdom of Kubala. At first glance, you might think it's a satire, some kind of, elaborated social experiment, or maybe even internet rage bait. But as we, peel back the layers, what we uncover is far from funny. It's tragic, bizarre, and extremely dangerous.
People are making fun of the Kubala people in Scotland. I'm sure you've seen videos of them by now. I can see how people find humor in it, but religious psychosis is dangerous.
Identity crisis is not a joke. What the heck is this? These are people living in Scotland, in the wilderness, claiming that they're the real Scots. That the people that live in Scotland today are thieves and stuff like that. And they had a kingdom in Scotland centuries ago. And it was called Kubala. And they're trying to reestablish it.
This group claims to be the reincarnated version of an ancient Scottish kingdom, despite the fact that their leaders originated from Southern Africa. Already you can see where the contradiction begin. But it doesn't stop there. The so-called king and queen of this kingdom have criminal records. They faced eviction from their encampment in Scotland, and more disturbingly, their practices bear the hallmarks of a cult.
Kubala, Ilizwe. Oh my Lord, I am so honored and so blessed to be your queen, your most beloved, your wife. In this moment, we've just said our Sabbath, and we've come to the end of our Sabbath today, and it's been pouring down all day in the kingdom of Kubala on this mountain. And in the past 30 minutes, we've just been out in the rain whilst it's pouring and pouring down.
Performing our rituals.
Yes, my king. We did our rituals in the rain. We are connecting to nature. We are returning to innocence. We are becoming one with this land. We are healing this land that has been polluted by...
A self-declared lost African tribe has appeared in the forests of Scotland, and at the centre of it all is a woman missing from Texas. Calling themselves the Kingdom of Kubala, the group is led by King Ataheen, a former opera singer, alongside Queen Nandi and their handmaiden Lady Safi, who has now been revealed as Cora Taylor, reported missing in the United States. They claim they are the descendants of black Jacobites, expelled from Scotland 400 years ago, and say they have returned to reclaim their homeland. Living in tents, washing in streams, and refusing to obey UK laws, the group insists they follow only the commands of their god, Yahweh. Authorities have issued eviction notices, but the king proclaims he is a descendant of David the Messiah, and is fulfilling a prophecy of a second Exodus. The Kingdom of Kubala says Scotland is theirs, and nothing will drive them out.
Guys, I went down a rabbit hole on this whole Kubala Kingdom thing yesterday, and I found some really disturbing things. I feel like most people probably heard about this whole thing from yesterday after it got posted in the blogs that this girl on the right, Cora Taylor from Texas, was missing. She got reported missing by her family, only for them to find out that she's in Scotland with this self-proclaimed king, the one in the middle, in the Kubala tribe, right? And I feel like we're watching the start of a cult and somebody's possible kidnap in real time, and nobody seems to be alarmed by what's going on. And I found some really disturbing things. So first of all, the queen, this woman, her real name is Jean Gasho. She had all her children taken away from her from social services. I'm pretty sure between her and her husband, who is the king actually, and we'll get into this, they have 7 children. I don't know if they're all biological, but they had 7 children, and all 7 kids were taken away by Durham Social Services. And the queen, Jean Gasho, she's claiming that they didn't do nothing wrong, that her children got legally abducted, saying that they got sold to Edomites because apparently one of her children's got one of her kids got adopted by this gay couple apparently for £50,000. I don't even believe that, because social services, you don't sell kids in the UK. It's not allowed. I don't think it's allowed anywhere really. But she's saying that she did nothing wrong, that they were just practicing their spirituality, and she got all her children get taken away from her. So that's like how her trauma began, or so it looks like. Meanwhile, her husband, the king, he's a man from Ghana who used to be an opera singer. And now they've become this like really weird tribe. But what I think is the most important thing here are these girls who were the concubines, right? Just stay with me, guys. So before Cara Taylor, who is now the queen's handmaiden, there was this girl, Lady Safi. She also was a handmaiden. She was also inferior to the superior queen, who is Jean Gasho. And if you just check on Facebook, you're going to see a video where Lady Safi and the queen had a confrontation, because I think there was rumors about Lady Safi being pregnant. Don't know if it was true or not, but it was rumors that she was pregnant. And she was talking about how she wanted to bear her own kids and blah blah blah. And I'm pretty sure Lady Safi and the king they were getting down, if you know what I mean. Pretty sure there was some inappropriate things happening. And all the stuff Lady Safi used to say when she was here. By the way, Lady Safi is no longer with us, by the way. Lady Safi is not here anymore. They said it's because she had mental health issues. I don't know if they're alluding that she took her own life or what. But Lady Safi is not here, which is already so alarming. And now the newest handmaiden, this girl who is now called Asna of Atehen, who is now the new handmaiden to Queen Nandi, guys, she's in trouble. She is in trouble. I was on the live last night, and she was answering some questions about the Kubala kingdom. She was saying that she's writing this book and blah blah blah, and she can't reveal how she entered the kingdom. That's part of the secrets. And then she was talking about some of her testimonies, and she said that before coming to Kubala, she used to have to wear glasses. She had a poor eyesight, and then the king told her to take it off. That she should just accept what she can see and what she can't see. There's a video you can see of her washing his feet. It's one of the rituals of the things that she needs to do. And they were talking about how it's very anti-feminist, and she is like enjoying this new life of like submission and all of this. Guys, there's something really going wrong. What are the chances that these two concubines were both American girls? The first girl, Lady Safi, was also American. She got welcomed by Queen Nandi, who is really Jean Gasho from Zimbabwe. At the airport, she welcomed her everything, and she's just not with us anymore. She's gone. And also now the new girl, Asna, who is really Cara Taylor, is also American. I don't know how they recruited these girls or what as like concubines, and I don't know if they watched The Handmaid's Tale and took things a bit too far, because a lot of their doctrines or whatever it is, it's all really mismatched stuff from a little bit of it is taken from biblical beliefs, some of it because they talk about how they're Jacobites and all of this. But guys, something is going wrong, seriously. And I don't know how her family aren't coming out online. I wonder if, because I was trying to find if there was a post that we're like, hey, our child is missing, blah blah blah.
To the people of Ghana, to the people of Kenya, your king has come. You are the tribe of Judah. For the Creator has sent me to your land to bring you back home, the place you belong. You have lost your identity, you have lost your pride. You have lost your home. You have lost your heritage. I am the King of Kubala. I am the Messiah. I am your Shushuma. To bring you back home, the place you belong. Great mass exodus is coming, where all nations who belong to the kingdom of Kubala are returning to their land, and no one shall make us afraid anymore. For we are taken care of by the Creator of the heavens and the earth, Yahweh. He is the one who shall lead us through the wilderness and bring us home to our fathers. Just like he did in the time of Moses, he's doing it again. The whole world shall witness this great event. They shall see the great wonders from the God of Kubala. So prepare yourselves if you are in Ghana, If you are in Kenya, you shall be seeing the Messiah, the tribe of Kubala. Soon, we shall walk on foot through the wilderness to the promised land. I repeat, we shall walk on foot through the wilderness to the promised land. Get your fugu ready and your bodia ready for the kingdom of Kubala.
Now, before we jump into the details, let's pause to reflect. What drives people to embrace such narratives? Why do individuals abandon reality to cling to fantasies of alternative histories and mystical lineages? One presenter in the sources we've analyzed put it bluntly: identity crisis is not a joke. This phrase hits the core of the matter. People who feel disconnected from their roots or who are grappling with personal trauma often search for a new story to anchor themselves in. But sometimes that story is not rooted in truth. It's built on lies, manipulation, and exploitation. The so-called queen of this movement, Jean Gasho, experienced a deeply painful event when social services in the UK removed her 7 children. She claims they were legally abducted and even sold to, strangers, though there is no evidence to support that claim. Whether you believe her or not, there is no, denying the trauma she went through. And it was from this trauma that she and her partner built their narrative of persecution, rebirth, and, divine authority. But here's where things shift from, tragic to alarming. The group has been, recruiting vulnerable women, particularly from America, to join them as so-called, handmaidens or concubines. These women, many of whom were already in difficult circumstances, found themselves immersed in rituals of submission, washing the feet of the self-proclaimed king, renouncing their own identities, and even being pressured to abandon their medical needs, like wearing glasses. What's worse, one of these women, known as Lady Safi, is no longer with the group. The circumstances around her, around her disappearance remain deeply concerning, with the group vaguely attributing it to mental health issues. So what does all of this tell us? It tells us that this isn't just about some quirky individuals in Scotland role-playing as royalty. This is a movement that is exploiting trauma, preying on vulnerability, and distorting history in a way that, dishonors both African heritage and Scottish heritage. It's an identity crisis weaponized. And when identity becomes twisted in this way, it's not only embarrassing, it's dangerous. Now, let's talk about cult behavior, because when you look at the kingdom of Kubala, the warning signs are flashing bright red. First, there's isolation. The group set up camp in Scotland on the land they weren't allowed to occupy. The local council eventually had to, issue an eviction notice, warning that persecution would follow if they didn't leave. That kingdom of displacement is not just about property. It's about control, keeping followers cut off from society and dependent on the leaders. Second, there is secrecy. New recruits like Cara Taylor, who now goes by the name Asna of Ahen, are told to keep the details of their initiation into the kingdom a secret. That secrecy isn't about protecting privacy. It's about tightening the grip of control, creating an us versus them mentality that isolates members from friends, family, and the outside world. That third, there is submission. Carla Taylor, a young woman from Texas who was reported missing by her family, now finds herself washing the king's feet as part of her, new life. She was even, told to abandon her glasses and accept what she can see and what she can see. This isn't spiritual enlightenment. It's psychological manipulation. It's the kind of control that strips people of their independence, their agency, and their critical thinking. Then there's the issue of trauma fueling belief. Jean Gasho insists that losing her children to social services was an act of persecution, and this trauma appears to underpin the entire narrative of the Kubala kingdom. But rather than seeking healing or accountability, she has transformed her grief into a story of divine power, drawing in others who may also be searching for meaning of purpose in their own lives. And guys, let's not forget the disturbing, disappearance of Lady Safi, the first American handmaiden. Explanation that she suffered from mental health issues only raises more questions than the answers. The sources make it clear this is the start of a cult and somebody's possible kidnap in real time. That should alarm everyone. This is not just cosplay. This is not just harmless, eccentricity. This is a group that has the potential to destroy lives. When you mix trauma, secrecy, exploitation, and religious psychosis, you get a volatile cocktail that can lead to devastating consequences. And while some online observers laugh at the absurdity of a group of Southern Africans declaring themselves the real Scots, we can't afford to dismiss this as comedy, because behind the theatrics are real people, vulnerable individuals whose lives and mental health are on the line. Now, let's stop back and look at the bigger picture, because what we are seeing with the so-called kingdom of Kubala is not just an isolated case. It's part of a broader human phenomenon, a warning of what happens when identity, trauma, and manipulation collide. The first thing we need to understand is the role of identity crisis. When the presenter said identity crisis is not a joke, they were highlighting something fundamental. When people don't feel rooted in their history, when they feel, alienated from their culture, they are more susceptible to adopting false narratives. The Kubala group claims to be the real Scots, but in doing so, they dismiss their own rich African heritage. Instead of celebrating the deep and authentic history of Africa, they embrace a fantasy that embarrasses their own culture and heritage. This isn't just, misrepresentation. It's a distortion that harms everyone involved. The second thing is trauma. Trauma changes people. For Jean Gasho, losing her children became the foundation of her kingdom. For others, personal pain or dissatisfaction with life may make them vulnerable to radical beliefs. For others, personal pain or dissatisfaction with life may make them vulnerable to radical beliefs of authoritarian leaders. In this sense, the Kubala kingdom functions like many cults before it. It offers the escape from reality. It offers certainty, identity, and purpose. But the cost of that escape is devastating. Members are stripped of, autonomy, cut off from society, and subjected to the anti-feminist, degrading rituals of submission. Third, let's talk about manipulation. Cara Taylor's transformation from a missing American girl to a handmaiden who now washes the king's feet is chilling. It demonstrates how quickly vulnerable people can be indoctrinated into a society of control. Telling her to take off her glasses and accept her poor eyesight as divine will isn't spirituality. It's abuse. It's a tactic to erode her trust in herself and replace it with blind obedience to the group. And then there is the issue of danger. The disappearance of the Lady Safi should make the world sit up and pay attention. When young women vanish in the context of a cult-like movement, we should not shrug it off. This is a matter of society, of human rights, and of protecting the vulnerable from exploitation. Beyond the members themselves, the existence of the Kubala kingdom has, broader societal implications. It undermines trust in authentic history, replacing it with fabricated nonsense. It disrespects both African culture and Scottish culture by blending, mismatched ideas into a false narrative. It reinforces harmful stereotypes that people of African descent have no history, when in fact Africans' history is vast, rich, and deeply influential. It also exposes the danger of religious psychosis, when leaders convince themselves or convince others that they are divinely chosen. The consequences can spiral out of control. History is full of examples where delusional leaders, fueled by trauma and manipulation, led people down destructive paths. This is why one source warned so clearly: religious psychosis is dangerous, and it's not just dangerous for the members of the cult; it's dangerous for society at large. What's more, the practices within this group are profoundly anti-feminist. They reduce women to roles of submission, stripping them of their independence and value, outside of servitude. The comparisons to the handmaids are not exaggerated. They are chillingly accurate. For women like Cara Taylor, the pursuit of belonging has turned into a life of subjugation. So where does that leave us? What lessons can we take from the story of the kingdom of Kubala? First, it teaches us the importance of grounding ourselves in authentic history. When people lose connection with their heritage, they become vulnerable to false narrative. Promoting real African history, not fabricated fantasies, empowers communities and prevents the embarrassment of identity crisis. Second, it highlights the need for, vigilance against cults. Cults don't always look like the stereotypical compounds in remote deserts. Sometimes they appear in unexpected places. A field in Scotland led by individuals who mix trauma with religious delusion. We must take them, seriously before they cause, irreparable harm. Third, it reminds us to protect the vulnerable, the missing American woman, the broken families, the individuals, drawn into submission. All of them are victims of exploitation. Their stories are not jokes. They are calls for us to pay attention, raise awareness, and support interventions that prevent further harm. Finally, this story forces us to confront the human tendency to feel reality when it becomes too painful. For leaders, the Kubala kingdom may be an escape from their failures, their traumas, and their legal troubles. For followers, it may be an escape from loneliness, confusion, or dissatisfaction. But escapes built on lies do not heal wounds; they deepen them. So, to everyone watching this, take this story seriously. Don't dismiss it as comedy or clickbait. See it for what it is: a dangerous cult emerging in real time. And let it be a reminder that we must all guard ourselves, our communities, and our histories from manipulation, delusion, and exploitation. The kingdom of Kubala may call itself a kingdom, but what it truly represents is the fragility of the human mind when faced with trauma, identity crisis, and unchecked power. And if we don't pay attention now, the cost could be more, lives lost, more families broken, and more heritage dishonored. Guys, I want to know what you think about this Kubala story. Drop a comment below. And also remember to subscribe, like, and share as well. And until next time, bye-bye.